everybody. I am Alexandra Nay Polstra. I am the Maven of All Maven Enterprise, where we are in the business of developing businesses. And I'm the chapter director for Startup Grind Carlsbad. Startup Grind is the largest entrepreneurial community for startups, featuring successful VCs, founders, business owners, and basically anybody who has a fantastic story to tell, share, and something just good to give. We'll keep it really, really simple. And this month is extra special because this is SG Women's Month, where I'm happy to have Jhoie here with me today. So excited. All right, we tell this girl, give it grit. And I'm not even going to give away what all of that is because Jhoie's going to tell us more about that later. Before we hop down into the wonderful and glorious story that Jhoie has to share with us today, I do want to take a second here to thank a special someone who is with us for every SG event, supporting us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, all of that good stuff for Startup Grind. And that is Mr. John Sanders. John, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and I'd love if you could just share a couple words with us about who you are and what you do. And thank you for being here.
Well, my website, johnsanders.com, that is hosted by All Maven, has everything about me that you would want to know plus lots. I have podcasts on there. I have articles, have my book, Parables for Entrepreneurs. But my business is to strategize with entrepreneurs that want to grow large. I'm not interested in the local pizza shop. I'm interested in entrepreneurs that have a company that has great potential. And I'm willing to help strategize. And if we come up with a good strategy, I'll invest in it. That's my goal. I got plenty of time. I've got enough money, so we can wait and do the job right.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. And thank you, as always, for being an investor in our company and investing in local businesses all over the space. Those dollars are needed and businesses appreciate them. And I am very much looking forward to what is on the horizon. Again, if you want to know more about John and all the good stuff, you can visit johnsanders.com. And he also has an amazing podcast, Parables for Entrepreneurs. So make sure you take the time to listen. It has lots of really good nuggets and wisdom in there. John's been in this space for a very long time, and he knows what he's talking about. And Jhoie, I can say many, many things about you, but I don't want to take away from your story. I'll give the brief textbook introduction. You know, Jhoie Cruz is a CEO and president of East West Building Solutions. She's been an entrepreneur for many, many, many years, and she knows what it's like to come up and setting a vision and how important that is. So I'm so excited to have her here today, not only for SG Women Month, where we celebrate women leaders, but also Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So important to remember where you came from and never forget that and where you are. And Jhoie, with that being said, I'm going to drop this screen share and I'm going to turn it over to you. Say hello to everyone.
Hi, and thank you, Alex, for having me. It's really a great honor to represent Asian American and Pacific Islander, and hopefully I can share something of my experience that will be an inspiration for startup and women like me, especially immigrants.
Oh, well, I have no doubt in my mind that you will be able to do that. And I mean, I had the opportunity to know you, through my sister, which was just awesome. And then, being able to work together, but I never knew your story. I did not know your story. I didn't know like your background. I had no idea of the hardship and the journey that you went through, like to climb where you are. My first interaction I had with you is, oh my gosh, look at this amazing, successful female entrepreneur who is just doing a great job. And at that time, you were working with really large companies, and you still work with large companies, but doing a lot of big things, right? And I just saw a really successful person, and I was not aware of everything that had gone on behind the scenes in the background for you to get where you are today. And, I would like to know, what made you even just decide like entrepreneurship in general? Like, why did you decide, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Hey, I want to go in and have a business, run a business. What even made you think about that?
Okay. I always had this grand vision of leading my own company, and the the passion behind that is so I can help a lot of people. Because coming from a background of poverty and having really nothing, and I thought of how could I make a dent? How could I make a difference? And you can only make a difference if you have so much to give. And you can't have that if you're just an ordinary employee or like just having nothing. So when I migrated in the United States in 2007, I happened to be blessed to work with this mentor of mine who works as a controller for this construction company. And I didn't know anything about construction. My background was in finance, mergers and acquisitions, accounting, forensic accounting, audit, which actually came in handy when I worked for this company. And because I didn't know anything about construction, and it's so funny because I was sharing this office, small office, with my former boss who owns this construction company, and I would just listen to him every day on the phone, and I can't tell everything what I heard because it's probably not good on the social platform. But I'd learn construction by just listening to him, and then I would thank goodness to Google. I would research whatever I heard, and then I start reading and learning about construction contracts, prime contracts, subcontracts, everything about compliance in license, and that's it. I just learned. So I moved up from being assistant to that mentor as assistant controller, and then I became CFO, and then I became vice president and CFO. So in 8 years, I was able to accomplish that by just listening and paying attention to what the person sitting next to me or our team needs and require at that particular moment. That's how I started. And then I have gained so much in so little time just because I pursued and I saw the need. Because at that time there weren't many female construction owners. They were mostly working behind the scenes, taking helping the field guys, and I saw the opportunity to rise and actually take my team eventually, and then we're going to be this women-owned and run construction company.
What was that like being in the midst of just not just being, but potentially maybe like one of the few females just working in the particular in different organizations, right? But just being in an industry that's just not really, used to seeing a lot of women. What was that like for you?
It was tough because you have to prove a lot. You will hear people talk about, oh, you stay in your lane, when and that drives you. That whenever you see negative comment about what you're doing, I use that as a fuel my passion and prove to everybody, no, we can actually do it.
So the haterade is a good thing for you. You like that hate, you just drink that haterade all day, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
How is it different? Because you not only worked with like big companies in the United States, you also did that over in the Philippines. What's like the work environment that's different? Because I think, a lot of times we have like concepts and ideas about what work is like for women in the United States, but we don't always have this concept of what that may look like overseas, especially in different countries. Did you find that there was a big difference in how companies operate and culture? I mean, obviously cultures are different, but just how things function, and what was the comparison like there for you?
Well, in the Philippines, when I was working for PDIC, or Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is actually like similar as the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which monitors and that's an oversight for banking and financial institutions. It's more of there's no comparison between what a man and a woman can do. There's no such thing. But the difference is, in the Philippines, there's like a gap when it comes to age. So the older you get, the lesser chances you'll have an opportunity. But if you show your hard work, if you dedicate yourself to your craft, you will move up. And I moved up multiple times. In the United States, the difference is because I'm an immigrant, and I didn't know anything. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any relative. I didn't have any family. And to a point, when I started, I didn't even have a legitimate status to be in the United States. I started as that. So even if I work 10 times harder, the climb is 10 times harder than when I was in the Philippines. Because when I left the Philippines, I was already I I overcame all the struggles when I was starting. And when I went to the United States, I was nothing. I was nobody.
You had to do that twice. It's like, I was like,
Exactly.
started from the bottom and worked your way up. And then you're like, yeah.
Yeah. And then having to land a job in a male-dominated company, and you're a minority, where it's really tough. But at least in the United States, as long as I saw that, as long as you work hard and you really persevered and you don't give up, you will get to where you want to be. That's the difference. That is the difference, because there's no limit as long as you aim and continue to climb that mountain that you want to conquer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, and that's really what you have to do. And I mean, you would know, because you literally, you had to do it twice, right?
Yes.
And you had some bumps along the road. You told an interesting story. I actually included it in your event description about your first experience with money and getting your Hello Kitty wallet.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I've ever get a chance to read about that story, but I'd love for you to just kind of share, that small story and now how that like impacted your life, because you've mentioned a lot about banking, finance, oversight, management. And I think as entrepreneurs, like, we struggle a lot with the money part. Like, we struggle with the financial management. We struggle with the where to find it and what to do with it when we get it, how to spend it, how to make more of it. And you're one of those people who has a lot of experience specifically in that area when it comes to money, right? Because you weren't just a lot of CEOs and creators that, they're visionary types. They're not necessarily on the administrative side or the finance side, but you were actually, you served as CFO. So finance is part of your background. Share how that Hello Kitty experience influenced you.
So, okay. It's funny you said that. And because we grew up really, really poor. I mean, the definition of poor in the United States and the definition of poor in the Philippines is like polar opposites. When we say poor in the Philippines, you think about living in a slum area. You have no bed. One family like us, we were living in 7 by 6 room, bunk bed, sleeping on the floor. You have your kitchen, no running water, no.
Wait, you don't have no running water?
We don't have running water.
Oh my gosh.
We don't have our own bathroom. We share a common bathroom with a lot of people.
Y'all be thinking be blessed about your tap. You complain about your tap water, at least you have it running.
Thank goodness for hot water. We never had that. And I would wake up. Poor meaning you would wake up. You would stay from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. waiting in line to get your bucket of water. And so when I was 10 years old, I I always wanted to get a Hello Kitty wallet. And because all my classmates have Hello Kitty wallet, and I would go to school with nothing. And one Christmas, an aunt of mine gave me a wallet for Christmas, and it was a Hello Kitty. It wasn't even the latest model at that time. I was so happy. And then distant relative of ours gave me 4 10 peso bill, and I felt I was a millionaire. And then going back to school after Christmas holiday, we went to this 2 week camp, and because I felt I was a millionaire, I spent my money like in 2 or 3 days. And so imagine we were there for 14 days, and I didn't even have money for my jeepney ride, or we call it jeepney, but it's a small bus from school to my house, which is about 1 mile. So when I went home, it was in the dead heat of the day. And then I had my backpack, I had my bag, I was crying because I have all this baggage with me, and I was so little. And I was like, you know what? From now on, I'm gonna have to save my money, and so I don't have to, I don't have to experience this way again. So from then on, that was my first lesson in saving, and from then on, I would every penny I have, I will save a portion for the future. That's how I started.
That's so smart, guys. I mean, if you're taking some money tips right now, save your money. Right?
Save money.
Save your
Don't
money.
spend it all.
Don't
Spend it all. Always
Yeah.
save a portion.
And you've been saving since you were a kid. So it's one of those things where, that you're never too early. Now, everybody on this call is an adult, right? But, there are people who on this call who have kids. I got 3 boys, and I've, right now they're mainly, my oldest James is mainly focused on cash flow. Said he's been spending too much time listening to me on calls with John, and talking about, oh, Mom, I think I need to get some more cash flow. I want to buy some stuff, right? So we talk a lot about cash flow and positive cash flow and how that's really important. But saving is really an important thing to do, because a lot of businesses could just be more profitable if they just knew how to hold on to some of their money, right?
Yes.
Because it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to keep the money. Who cares? Yeah. And I think that was the hardest thing for me, because I remember my first stage as an entrepreneur. When I had very little money, I had just had my son, and I was living at home, and I didn't have a job, and I pursued entrepreneurship. So I had no job, no man. I nothing like the Philippines, right? I had plenty of running water and luxuries, right? But America's definition of not doing that well. I mean, I was blessed. I got a great family to, support me and all that kind of stuff. But I noticed, when I first started my entrepreneur journey, I was like, I would make $2,000, right? But I would get to keep like $1,500 for the month. And I thought, oh man, I'm doing so good, right? And every time I made a little bit more money, right, I found that running a business gets costly and more expensive. And it got to, and you see people advertise, especially on social media, make 10K a month. And I'm like, yeah, I made 10K last month. You know what? I have $60 right now, right? I was like, man, I was better off only making $2,000. I was pocketing more money, right? And it's hard. You have to be able to not just make the money, but keep it, right? Save it. What do you think is the most important, other than, saving? What do you think are like some of the most important financial principles for entrepreneurs, so that they can hold tight to those, especially, being a CFO of a company, having that background?
Well, always think about calculated risk or calculated investment. Saving money is one thing, but what do you do with that savings? It's not going to grow if you will just keep it in one bucket. I mean, think about the parable of the talents, right? So you have to invest a portion of that for it to grow. but you need to know how much of that savings are you willing to risk that out there to make it grow, because that's you can't really grow if you will just keep that money in the bank. So you have to invest it, and think about what are the best things that you would invest that will work for you in the future, like stocks. What kind of stocks? Or even if you're in a company or in your business, what are the things that you could invest that will actually make you profitable in the long run? For me, if it's my business, I would put that savings in investing to the right people that will actually give some return in ways like improving that person's skill set, and then eventually that person will provide what the company needs and to make that company grow.
Yeah.
So in personal life, you invest on your stocks. In business, your stocks are your people. Your stocks are your people. So you put your investment to the right stocks, and that stocks will have a return. There will be a return at some point.
Yeah, I don't think people really think enough about that, investing in their own people, and I find that that's often a downside, right? When your business is growing, is you're not paying attention to the people around you. And I went through that phase in my business where I'm like, man, I do not have the right people around me right now, and it had begun to get toxic. And I'm like, man, I need to rethink about who I have around me, right? And also to make sure I'm investing in the people around me so that I give them, the best chance of success. Because a toxic work environment, is such a killer. It makes it more difficult to thrive. If you're not happy, if your people aren't happy, that negatively impacts the company. And so I totally agree with you on that.
And remember, the bigger the dream, the more important is the team. That that is what I learned along the way. You can't really fulfill your vision on your own. You need to have the right people working with you side by side. Whether it's a personal vision, say I wanna lose weight, blah blah blah. I wanna lose 20 pounds. If you're not with the right partner or with the right support team, you won't be able to accomplish that on your own. The same with vision for your company. If you don't have the right people with you, you will not succeed, because a vision is not a one-man dream. It needs to, it's a team effort. It's a team effort. It starts with you, but it's not about you.
I love that. There were so many quotable moments there that when I had, the bigger the dream, the more important the team. That was awesome. I'm going to remember that, because I definitely feel like we need to hire more people and get that going. But that is awesome, right? Bigger the dream, the more important the team. With team and growing and vision, because you're a big vision person, right? And you had, you, again, from poor and no running water, right, to working with, multi-million-dollar businesses, right, and being successful and all that other kind of good stuff. Tell me, because there's so many good pieces around, just around this aspect. Tell me about the biggest challenge that you had in your entrepreneurial journey, and tell me about the most rewarding part of that entrepreneurial journey.
The biggest challenge, I think, okay, hold on. Are we talking about the entrepreneurship or the whole cycle from when I started with other company, or the whole?
I would say both. I would say both, because you're a person who went from job, employee, right, to being still an employee, but an employee at the top, right, an executive, right, C-level executive, but then also to being business owner, right? Owning your own business, your own successful business, and being at the top. So yeah, you can give me all of the challenges, and you, obviously your personal life, what happens in your personal life has an impact on your business life. So give us to us all so that we can all learn a little bit here.
Okay. The biggest challenge I think is proving how do you let that person buy into the idea and actually believe in that idea? Because even I worked so hard to prepare the path leading to that vision. I wanted that company to be a $100 million company, but I I I planned it in a way that I prepared all the people to support that vision. Unfortunately, how do you the biggest challenge would be to have the biggest person in the room actually believe in that vision and how to get there. So it's a challenge because instead of you going smoothly on your path, there's always this anchor like pulling you down and kind of not just slowing you down, but just so many obstacles. And in the meantime, you have to take care of your people at the same time and rally them up and actually believe in that vision. They believe in that. But then you have some people who doesn't. And working side by side with people who actually believe in you and people who never believed in you, it's very, very difficult. And you're gonna get to a point where you just have to, like screw it, just do it. Just do it. I mean, I'm sorry. Am I supposed to say that? I think
That's pretty mild for some of. Actually, it's probably on the low end of the talk. We're pretty liberal here in terms of speech, but I think you're right. You just got to say, forget it, right?
Yeah,
Do it.
just do it. But again, it's more of putting. You cannot. One thing I always know and I always remember, I cannot sacrifice my integrity. And that's tough. Even in construction, that's really, really tough. I don't like cutting corners. I hate cutting corners because that puts your integrity online. And cutting corners, it doesn't really it may cost low or cheaper at this beginning, but it will actually cost more in the end. So that's one of the biggest challenges as far as my the path to my entrepreneurship started.
And the most rewarding part, you mentioned challenges, but the most rewarding part, what do you love about it?
Proving yourself right.
I think as women, we like to be right.
Oh yeah. Actually seeing the vision come to a fruition. So all the blood, sweat, and tears, are absolutely worth it. And seeing some of your team kind of elevated because of that vision, it's really, really rewarding for me.
Yeah, and you have told me before, and I mentioned this, when I was emailing everybody out, that you can get anywhere you want to go as long as you have grit. Yes. Girl, you just got to give it some grit. And, yes. We think about grit, we think about the grind and putting a lot, but grit is actually an acronym for you. Yes. Right? So tell me about the grit, Jhoie. Tell me about the grit.
Well, the grit, it's guts, resiliency, integrity, and tenacity. But actually, the most important thing, I have a double G, guts and gratitude. Gratitude takes a long, long way because for me, gratitude, even in times of trials and hardship, I always make it a point to find something that I have to be grateful for or I'm grateful for. So think about before I didn't have running water, and now I even have hot water. So every single day, I make it a point to find at least 5 blessings that I receive every single day. And even if I would come home every day crying because of the 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 pressure, because of the hardship, because of all the ridicule, because of all the stuff I had to go through working because of my job, and even the threat on my life because of my status. I would every single day I would come home and I wouldn't have any energy because I was crying from the moment I left the office to my house, which is like an hour away back then. But even then, I would write down, okay, Joy, before you don't even have a car. Now you have a car where you can sit 1 hour in traffic and cry on your own without anybody looking at you. And before you were living you were sleeping on the floor with all these boxes surrounding you. You didn't even have money to eat, and now you're coming home to a house where you have hot meals. So those simple practices of saying thanks and counting your blessings goes a long, long way. And for me, that's part of grit. It's not just about um, overcoming all these difficulties, but it's also about thanking how far you've come from where you were before, and counting all your blessings, because all those blessings, if it magnifies, it really magnifies, because your $1 now, if you keep on giving thanks for that $1, or even sharing a portion of that dollar, eventually it will come back to you tenfold.
Yeah. You mentioned, one of the things you're like, being grateful, and like, before you didn't even have a car, and now you counted a blessing to be able to just sit in a car and cry over the
Yes.
stress, that you have, and you mentioned vision and being able to see that. And in your story, that you had shared with me, you had mentioned that came in a point in time, like writing out your vision and seeing it was when you were, like you said, sleeping on the floor in between boxes, right? Going from friend's house to friend's house, not having, a place to stay, a permanent place to stay, a comfortable place to stay, but you saw it, right? You were able to pick yourself up from dire circumstances and push on, right? How important is it for us to see and to have that vision? And would you say that that's the most important part, and being able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and keep chugging along? Or would you say that there's other things that really, really kind of contributed to that?
For me, success is not just success is a lot more of relentlessness and grit than talent. And going up the corporate ladder, or whatever vision you're trying to do, my practice was to always visualize, what do I want to see myself 5 years from now, and what will be, and how to get there. So every night, even in my lowest moment, I would picture myself doing, say, having this house. I would picture myself driving an SUV. I would picture myself with living, traveling, or living the life that I want. And every time every time that I would come home and finish my gratitude, I would picture myself living my dream, and then being this boss, or having this fancy suit. And I remember part of my visualization is I would we're in California, right? We're in Southern California. I mean, when I go to work, People are just wearing shirts. People are,
I was like, I don't think I've ever seen you in a suit. I've never seen you in no
no, I
suit.
would come wearing blazer, even if it's the same blazer, because I want to feel important.
Mhm.
I want to feel, I want to protect that person I want to be.
Mhm.
And trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy. And what I want to share to everybody, success is not easy, and especially for women. Be prepared to fail a lot as you reach higher. It will be painful. You will be ridiculed. People will talk behind your back. You will be blooded. You will get to a point where couldn't actually breathe, and you will feel like your heart is like torn apart, and you will feel like giving up. But at that moment, that's when you don't give up. You get to pick yourself back up and tell yourself you can do it, because if others was able to do it, so can you. That is the time when you put all the power in your brain to see where you want to go and who you want to become, because that power will lift you up, and you're going to forget that, and you're going to remember that this moment is just now, and this too shall pass. Whatever struggles you were going through right now, that too shall pass.
Woo, I gotta snap my fingers for that. That's so good. I think I needed to hear that this morning. Wow, this too shall pass. I feel like that some days. I feel like, man,
Yeah.
I want to quit. I do pick myself back up again. I see the vision,
I
I move
know.
forward, but it is really hard. I think we've got to support each other, like you mentioned, having a good team. But you went through a stage in your life where you didn't have a team, because you
Yeah.
didn't have a business, right? And I think what's really amazing, especially since you're a person of faith, you got a lot of faith, right? And that's important. But even just exercising an attitude of gratefulness, because you had periods in your life where there wasn't somebody who was constantly in your ear telling you, Jhoie, you can do it, and Jhoie, you'll get there, and Jhoie, keep at it, right? That a lot of that was internal, and you saw the vision, and you chased after that. So I think that's important, because I feel like as entrepreneurs, especially women, and it's good that we lift each other up, but we're oftentimes we find ourselves looking to other people, right, to fill us and fill our cup. And
Yeah.
sometimes those people aren't going to be there, right? Sometimes you're going to be in that toxic work environment where you're getting ridiculed and you're getting beat up. And I think that's so important to have just a strong mindset. Jhoie, you are one of the people who have one of the strongest mindsets I know, because despite, again, all the cards being against you, you didn't make excuses. You just kept pushing forward, right? And like you said, entrepreneurship is more about resiliency than actual talent. Although I think everybody would agree you're incredibly talented.
Oh.
I don't think you're short of any talents, but resiliency, just keeping on going, to keep believing in yourself that you can, and that you can do it, and then you can go forward. It is so critical, because sometimes you're just going to be by yourself on that 1 mile walk from camp, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a kid or you're an adult. Sometimes you're going to be on that long road ahead by yourself, and it's important to be grateful, and it's important to really kind of learn from that experience, so that way that you can grow and you can take it to the next level. Yeah, everything you said was just so good. I would like to know, your original vision, right, was just get the fancy car, get the fancy job, get the corner office, get the executive suit, if you want to wear it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so having already achieved all that, right, you've made money, right? So you've made the money, you've been a success, right? And you have your own company, and you're growing your company to do bigger and better things, where do you see yourself going now? Because most people would have stopped. They would have been like, oh, I have a nice car. I have 6 figures. I have a cute companion named Coco. I'm done. Right. And then it's just like, I'll just leave it at that and move on. Right. Where do you see yourself? What's your next vision? What do you want to do?
Well, my sister wants a restaurant where she can, like a martini bar, but no.
That's a good investment.
No,
you noticed when it was COVID, all the liquor stores were still open, like bars, restaurants struggled, right?
She's a great sommelier and a bartender. And kidding aside, I do want to build affordable housing and affordable communities affordable housing that will improve communities. And I also want to expand my nonprofit organization so I can help more children get education, because for me, education is important. And when I say education, I'm not saying, the diploma or the certificate. There's a lot of ways to get education. And finally, I really want to finish my memoir, and my goal, my vision is to see that book read by a lot of people, so people can be inspired and learn something.
Well, I mean, I know you personally, and I'm learning something. I think as entrepreneurs, the most important thing we can do is to keep learning, right? So not exercising, just
learning.
Yeah, right.
Never stop learning. The minute you stop learning, that will be like the death of you.
And it goes back to resiliency, right? Not just resiliency in the things that are difficult, but just being resilient in your effort to grow your mind, right? Grow your mind, learn, being open to like new ideas, right? I think a lot of people have a trouble kind of taking things outside the box and doing new ideas. And I also commend you, right? Because you're taking your wealth and your success and you're putting it back into community, and not just the community that you built here in the United States, but the community back home, right? In the Philippines, and helping kids, achieve their dreams and move on and move forward. Because as Whitney says, I believe the children are future, right? Let's make a, sorry guys, I apologize. You had to listen to that.
Not? I was once, one of those kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give back and tell them that if I did it, so can you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't unless you educate yourself or you go to school or learn something. Because these kids, they live on the streets like I used to, basically, practically. So giving back, and right now it's only 10 kids, but it's again making a dent, however small that is, and one child at a time. I think if every one of us will be able to change at least one life in our lifetime, I think God will be happy.
Yeah, right. One makes a difference. The 99, right? Leave the 99, even just to help one. Yeah. So entrepreneurs, just remember in all that you do, whether it's a difficult time, whether you're grinding away, whether it's blood, sweat, and tears, right? Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't stop learning. It may be hard, but just keep going. And when you finally get to the top, right? Give back. Help somebody else make the journey a little bit more easier, right? So that they can come up, right? Because when we work together, we all rise. Like you said, with the vision, it's not just, it starts with you, but it doesn't end with you, and it's not about you.
It's not about you. Yeah.
Jhoie, man, so many words of wisdom, so much inspiration, so much here for women, for immigrants, right? For female leaders, for people going through tough times, but just for entrepreneurship in general. Anything else that you want us to know before we wrap this up and be on our merry way? Any other words of wisdom or tidbits or anything else you want to share with our audience?
keep your promises to yourself and to others, you know, and honor your scars, because your scars have made who you are today. And last but not the least, I would say, be patient, because great things takes time. And trust me, for someone who is very, very impatient, that's really hard to say, and hard for me to do. I am the least patient that you would know. And so just be the human being that speaks truthfully, because honesty builds trust and builds creativity within the team. Love, just do everything out of love, because if you do everything out of love, everything else flows smoothly. You won't do you will try to stay within the integrity lane.
Mhm.
And don't ever tell anyone to stay in their lane, because especially women,
Mhm.
we don't have lane. I'm just saying, we don't have a lane. We can do it all. Trust me, we can do it all.
Woo! Don't stay in your lane. You
Don't stay
drive
in
where
your
you want to go.
lane.
Wherever you want to go, that's
Yes,
where you need to go, right?
ma'am.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Jhoie, it has been so much fun. It's one, I'm just happy to see your beautiful shining face here, right?
Thank you.
And I'm also just happy to give you a space to share your message, right? And all the startup community, especially
Thank
when,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
especially,
Thank you
no,
so much.
thank you. You're the one blessing us. So we are so honored and so privileged, right? We often like to call, label these as rags to riches stories, but even when you literally had nothing, or what we would define as riches and in the financial sense, you were always been rich in spirit and rich in mindset and rich in resiliency. So you've always been, and Mike and me always like to say, a rich friend. You've always been rich. And we're just so blessed by your presence, your story, your messages, and to keep on grinding. So give a virtual round of applause, right, for
So
Jhoie.
much. Thank
I know you
you.
guys, nobody can hear anything, right? Because I have everybody muted. But if you guys do have a question, you can drop it in the chat for me right now. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to pop any questions that they have for our wonderful guest here, Jhoie. Pop those in the chat. And while we are waiting to do that, right? Prizes, anyone? Is anybody interested in maybe winning something today? You can drop a 1 in the chat if you're like, yeah, I'd like to get a prize today. Anybody in the chat want a prize? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to win something and you're curious about what that is. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, today's prize, this is not, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so we won't be giving out any crazy prizes, but we will be giving out a $10 Amazon gift card, because Amazon, enough said. But if you don't like Amazon, as I've told everybody else, I am more than happy to send you a $10 gift card to any place of your choice if you're not on the Amazon train. Right, we'll send you a $10 gift card to any place of your choice. But what you want to do is, in order to win this $10 gift card, this is how it works, right? Enter a number between 1 and 100 in the chat. Closest number wins. If somebody happens to guess a number and they're each the same distance away, right? It's the higher number that wins, right? And one of the great things about these fireside chats is that they are so intimate, right? They're so intimate, and we can talk and we can discuss. Becomes a much better chance of winning, right, than in being a room full of 500, even though, we're blessed to have those big SG events and global and all that other kind of stuff. So everybody put your numbers in the chat. I'll give it a few minutes here and let everybody get their numbers in. I know you guys can't see each other's numbers, but I'm getting all your numbers. And right now we have no duplicates, so that's good. Right, here we go. Everybody, you get 30 more seconds to put your number in the chat. Okay. All right. Is everybody ready? We ready to find out who won? Can we get a virtual drum roll, please? And yeah, thanks, John. Ready? And the winning number is 41, which means our lucky winner is Ashley. Ashley, congratulations. You are our lucky winner of the Amazon gift card. Ashley guessed 32. Everybody else, y'all had real big number, 88, 77, all that. Y'all got some big numbers in here, right? So Ashley, you are the winner. You guessed 32. That is the closest. So congratulations. I have your registration information, so I will send that to you via the email that you registered with. If you have a different email that you want that sent to, just let me know in the chat real quick if you want that sent someplace else. Otherwise, I'll just use your registration email and I'll send that to you within 24 hours. Guys, with that being said, thank you so much for being here. I strongly encourage you to come up and show up for more of these events. You can visit us online at startupgrind.com. because we're a global community. We are a global community of entrepreneurs, and you can see us in over 130 different countries, over 500 chapters. And the great thing about virtual is it doesn't matter where you are, right? Because we can connect with you on Zoom and in person and all that good stuff. So tune in. We are going to have one more speaker this month in celebration of SG Women. And I will send you all the details on that later. But other than that, you all, thank you so much. Again, Jhoie, thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.